Yeah, Vijay, we are going to start with you because we didn't read last time.
Okay, so paragraph 55.
Yes.
O ye discerning ones, Baha'u'llah has written, verily the words which have descended from the heaven of the will of God are the source of unity and harmony for the world. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes to racial differences.
And welcome all with the light of oneness. We desire but the good of the world and the happiness of the nations. He proclaims that all nations should become one in faith and all men as brothers, that the bonds of affection and unity between the sons of man should be strengthened. The diversity of religion should cease.
Diversity of religion should cease and differences of race be annulled.
Baha'u'llah hath said, writes Abdul Baha, that the various races of humankind lend a composite harmony and beauty of color to the whole. That all associate therefore in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side without discord or disagreement between them. Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, moreover, has said, once compare the colored people to the black pupil of the eye surrounded by the white. In this black pupil is seen the reflection of that which is before it, and through it the light of the spirit shining forth.
Yeah. Close your eyes to racial differences. We desire but the good of the world. You know, when Baha'u'llah said that, this was said to E.G. Brown when he met him just a couple of years before Baha'u'llah passed. That quote comes from that meeting. All right, so one thing I wanted to touch on was that diversity of religion should cease. This does not mean that we go and force people to become Baha'is, by the way. Be very, very careful, all right? So there's an amazing paradigm shift Baha'u'llah has brought, which is the core some few of the things are really the strength of this religion, this chapter of this religion, yeah, because they've been promoted in such a way. One of that is that all of the major faiths have come from God. Yeah. And as soon as you recognize that, you actually have already brought it to one faith. Makes sense? Even though a true Hindu is still Hindu, and a Muslim is still Muslim, and the Christian is still Christian. And of course, we are teaching them why, so we can actually move forward and build a better civilization onto the new lessons. But at the same time, we do acknowledge that the Krishna and Buddha and Christ and Moses and Zoroaster and so forth and so on and Muhammad are true faiths from God, right? So we are not agreeing to their human dogmas, by the way, right? So the fallen state of their communities, we are not agreeing to it that the wrong things they're doing is right. We are not saying that. What we're saying is the essence of that religion, as it was brought in its purity, was from the same God Baha'u'llah came. Yeah. So for us, it's already one religion. Make sense? But writings are quite clear, and history is quite clear, that there will never be a day, at least that we can discern, that every single human being will only be under one banner. Yeah, there will be minorities and there will be diversities. So remember that always. So when you're reading the writings, there are some of these things, if you take them out of context as one sentence, which by the way, they do that a lot in, or enemies do a lot in like Persia and stuff. They'll take something out of context and they'll say, see, it means this, but it doesn't mean this. Yeah, there's a whole sum of the writings for what they're saying, and it means that. So I wanted you to kind of keep that in mind. And then one compared with the color people to the black pupil of the eye. Neither the pupil can survive without the white portion, nor the white portion survives without the black portion. And neither can we see only through the white, nor we can see only through the black. Whichever portion of the eye, if you will hurt it, take it, whichever portion you'll take it out, you'll be blind, right? So in a sense, and when you read the whole sum of the writings again, it is that both of their duty is to live like this together. Both of their job is to love each other and to trust each other. Guardian will come to that, right? Because right now our societies are going, okay, is this person's fault, or is this person's fault, or only is this guy's this side of the responsibility or that side of the responsibility, right? We are pitching people against each other. We are pitching black against white, white against black. We are pitching poor people against rich, rich against. That's not what the faith teaches. Faith doesn't teach that we should run such campaigns where this kind of people are against that kind of people. That's not what unity is. So every example you will see in the writings is given in a sense, if you pay attention to it, one without the other cannot live. And there are reasons why we are divorced. Right? All right, go on, next. Who's next? Solomon?
God,
Yeah.
God, Abdul-Bahá himself declares, maketh no distinction between the white and the black. If the hearts are pure, both are acceptable unto him.
If
God is
the
no
hearts are pure, if the hearts are pure.
God is no respecter of person, the account of either color or race. All
God
colors
is
are
no
acceptable.
respecter. God is no respecter of persons on account of either color or race. He does not care what your skin tone is, or where were you born, who your parents were, what your language you speak. Any of that is accidental and social. He does not care. He cares about your character.
All colors are acceptable unto him, be they white, black, or yellow, inasmuch as all were created in the image of God. We must bring ourselves to realize that all embody divine possibilities in the estimation of
All
God.
embody, pay attention to this to underline that, all embody divine possibilities. Not that we have them already, but we have the possibility, and why we're here to nurture it and to bring it to being. Right?
In the estimation of God, he states, all men are equal.
All men are equal. There is no distinction or preference for any soul in the realm of his justice and equity. God did not make these divisions, he affirms. These divisions have had their origin in man himself.
Therefore, as they are against the plan and purpose of God, they are false and imaginary. In the estimation of God, he again affirms, there is no distinction of color. All are one in the color and beauty of servitude to him.
We are all his servants, every one of us.
Color is not important. The heart is all important.
Heart is all important.
It mattereth not what the exterior may be, if the heart are pure and white within. God doth not behold difference of hue and complexion. He looketh at the hearts. He whose morals and virtues are
I like that in bright colors. He whose morals and virtue are praiseworthy is perfected in the presence of God.
He who is devoted to the kingdom is most beloved. In the realm of Genesis and creation, the question of color is of least importance. Throughout the animal kingdom, he explains, we do not find the creatures separated because of color. We recognize unity of species and oneness of kind. If we do not find color distinction drawn in a kingdom of lower intelligence and reason, how can it justify among human beings, especially when we know that all have come from the same source and belong to the same household? In origin and intention of creation, mankind is one. Distinction of race and color have risen afterwards. Man is endowed with superior reasoning power and the faculty of perception. He further explains, he is the manifestation of divine bestowals. Shall racial ideas prevail and obscure the creation of the purpose of creative purpose of the unity in his kingdom? One of the important question significantly remarks which affect the unity and the solidarity of mankind is the fellowship and equality of white and colored races. Between these two races, certain points of agreement and points of distinction exist, which warrant just and mutual consideration.
Between
The
these
points of contact are many.
between these
In
two races, certain points of agreement
equal
and points of distinction exist, which warrant just and mutual consideration.
The United States.
the United States of America, patriotism is common to both races, blessing of the same civilization, and follow the prospects of the same religion. In fact, numerous points
Sorry,
of
I think we
partnership
missed a line, Han. All have equal rights to citizenship, speak one language, receive the blessing of the same civilization.
in fact, numerous
And follow.
points and follow the prospects of the same religion. In fact, numerous points of partnership and agreement exist between the two races, whereas the one point of distinction is that of color. Shall this, the least of all distinctions, are allowed to separate you as races and individuals. This variety forms and coloring. Is stresses, which is a manifest in all the kingdoms. Diversity in the human family
No, is according to
Is
is
according
according to the creative wisdom and has a divine purpose.
is
The diversity
according to a creative wisdom and hath a divine purpose.
the diversity in the human family, he claims, should be the cause of love and harmony, as it is music where many different notes blend together in the making of a perfect chord. If you meet in his admonition those of different race and color from yourself,
Do
do
not
not mistrust them.
mistrust them. Those of a different race and color, when you meet them, do not mistrust them and withdraw yourself into your shell of conventionality, but rather be glad and show them kindness.
In the world of being, he testifies, the meeting is blessed when the white and colored races meet together with infinite spiritual love and heavenly harmony. When such meetings are established and the participants associate with each other with perfect love, unity, and kindness, the angels of
Angels of
the
the
kingdom
kingdom praise them.
and the beauty of Baha'u'llah addressed them. Blessed are ye, blessed are ye. When a gathering of these two races is brought about, he likewise asserts that assemblage will become the magnet of conquerors on high, and the confirmation of the blessed beauty will surround it. Strive earnestly. He again exhorts both races and put forth your greatest endeavor towards the accomplishment of this fellowship and the committing of this bond of brotherhood between you. Such an attainment is not possible without will and effort on the part of each. From one
Such an attainment is not possible. We should all remember that every day. Remember previously in some of the previous paragraphs, the Guardian said it depends on our daily exertions, daily vigilance. We must be daily vigilant about these things. Such an attainment is not possible without will and effort on the part of each.
From one, expression of gratitude and appreciation from the other.
Highlight these. From one, expression of gratitude and appreciation. This gratitude and appreciation was levied towards Black brethren, by the way, by Abdul Baha. It's a very hard thing for lots of our friends to hear this, but Abdul Baha gave two very long, elaborate talks. I will send it to you. He's mentioning them. They're not fully quoted here. I'll send it to them. And because we are not able to rise to the occasion and work on them from that, that's why we still have the problem. Right? Abdu'l-Baha said those things more than 100 years ago now. And we still have not resolved our issues because we are looking for any other thing but that. He already told us what would it take to resolve our issues, and we are not willing to do it, right? So have the courage to hear this. Have the courage to hear Baha'u'llah what he's saying. Even when I first became a Baha'i, I was coming from a Sunni background side, and there were a couple of things that I thought this other side was wrong and my people was right, and Baha'u'llah said no otherwise. Said no, these other people about this idea were right and your people were wrong. And yeah, it hurt, it hits you in a very bad place because it's embarrassment, right? For centuries. But the embarrassment was not that you dig your heel and say, how could you say that? The embarrassment was that, oh my God, for centuries, my people are believing what I consider, right now everybody's my people, right? But initially you feel like, okay, you come from this group and these are my people. And you're like, there was such embarrassment that, oh my God, you were wrong for so long. That's the attitude we should take for writings, right? So it's true that when writings are calling me upon something that I didn't have, or I didn't grow up and I kind of acted opposite, when they call me to being, there is an embarrassment and it's good. Allah says that shame, that healthy sense of shame is good because it allows me to change, right? But because it hits me on a wrong place, if I dig my heels and say, how dare you say that? I rather than leave and be somewhere else. If I can't take the guidance from the writings and do the right thing, then there is no point for me to be Baha'i, to be here. Yeah. So always remember that. That's why in the very beginning of the book, I warned everybody. I was like, there are things that will be really hard on us because we don't do these things. And then when they brought to you, you feel embarrassed about it. And it's good that we feel embarrassed about it. Yeah. We're not called to feel guilt every day, but certain amount of healthy shame is good. When you feel ashamed about something, that allows you an opportunity to change, right? So go back again, and I will remember this, and I'll send you Abdu'l-Baha's full quotes on this. Gratitude and appreciation from the other, kindliness and recognition of equality. Right? So Abdu'l-Baha very clearly talked about this, and he said that the white people should be more loving and more kind towards the black, and blacks should be grateful. Grateful for all the stuff that whites have done for them. I'll send you those talks. It's quite amazing. In our society right now, if you bring it out, they start fighting you over this because everybody's so angry. Everybody's so angry, and anger will not take us anywhere. It will not take us anywhere. All right, go on.
Each one should endeavor to develop and assist the other toward mutual advancement. Love and unity will be fostered between you, thereby bringing about the oneness of mankind. For the accomplishment of unity between the colored and white will be an assurance of the world peace. I hope he thus addresses members of the white race, that he may cause the downtrodden race to become glorious, and to be joined with the white race to serve the world of man with the utmost sincerity, faithfulness, love, and purity. This opposition, enmity, and prejudice among the white race and the colored cannot be effaced beauty. This question of the union of the white and the black is very
Pay
important.
attention to this. And this has proven true, by the way. We are suffering this for more than a couple of 100 years. This opposition, enmity, and prejudice among the white race and the colored cannot be effaced except through faith, assurance, and the teachings of the Blessed Beauty. It is so true. The world has tried everything else and still is trying everything else, and it's not going away. It's becoming worse and worse by the year. Every decade it becomes worse. It's not succeeding. So we must pay attention to what is it that writings are calling for, how we should act towards each other, and what is our job mutually. Go on.
This question of the union of the white and the black is very important. He warms, for it is not realized, ere long, great difficulties will arise, and harmful results will follow. If this matter remaineth without change, is yet another warning. Enmity will be increased day by day, and the final results will be the hardships and may end in bloodshed.
It has ended in bloodshed more than a couple of times in the United States, more than a couple of times since then. And we still don't see any end to it. any end to it. All right. And same thing everywhere else, by the way. All right. The lots of these tensions between majorities or minorities doesn't matter. Like you go to South Africa, now the tables are turned. Now the whites are in minority, and still this hatred is going on. So that's why I want you to pay attention to where the writings are saying both ends' job is to not do this. All right. We have the same kind of prejudice now springing out all over the globe between genders, right? So if for hundreds of years the women were oppressed and now women want to turn around and oppress men, guess what? We will have a lots of 100 years of more misery. It doesn't end anywhere. It must end somewhere in justice and looking at each other as equals. If we cannot do that, we will not have peace. Yeah. Whose turn is it? Reshma or?
A tremendous effort is required by both races if the outlook.
Both races, a tremendous effort. A tremendous effort is required by both races.
If the outlook, their manners and conduct are to reflect in this darkened age the spirit and teachings of the faith of Baha'u'llah.
Here I will want you to pay attention that we are saying to both races or different races, even though we do believe there is only one race. Don't get confused about that, because that's how the humanity is putting it, right? So to make understanding of, to let people understand what is it that you're talking about, you have to use the language that people are used to, right? So, but if you're all Baha'is, for us, I mean, we actually got trained pretty well. It doesn't even sound right anymore to say whose race. I was like, what race? We're all one people, right? There's only one race. There's no people. But that's what the language we are using right now. That's what is dividing us. So language is used to make sense of what we're talking about. So always remember that. Yeah.
Casting away once and for all the fallacious doctrine of racial superiority with all its attendant evils, confusion and miseries, and welcoming and encouraging the intermixture of races and tearing down the barriers that now divide them, they should each endeavor day and night.
They should each, meaning both sides, right? Both sides. So when you're working in India, then the Brahman and the untouchable, both of those backgrounds, both of their job is to love each other, right? Because I think you would have noticed that if you go among, and I'm still using the word untouchable, by the way, even though it's degrades on your ears, but that even though they're changing the language, but because our hearts are not changing, those people are still treated the same way as, because they were used to be called untouchables. So that's another problem in the United States too. Every few decades, we change the name, how the Black people should be called, yeah? But that doesn't resolve the issue, because you're changing the color of the Band-Aid on the wound, but you're not healing the wounds under it. It doesn't make any difference. You can keep on changing language until you're dead, all of us. It wouldn't change anything. It's not the problem of language, it's the problem of heart, how we see things, yeah? And if you go among those, and I have worked a lot in these kind of things, they themselves, the ones that were very low and were hated, they themselves are very hateful of the others. And it's forbidden to both ends. Same as men and women issue. It's like it's not allowed to any one of them to be. That's why justice requires, what is the main core element of justice, by the way? Individuality, right? In a justice system, we are not we. It's me and you. Individuality. Justice requires that you look at every person and judge them individually, regardless of where they come from, right? And then you are allowed to say, if it's a bad character and instead of a thief, you are allowed to consider it a bad person as a thief. But if Carmel is a bad person and a thief, sorry to pick on you, that doesn't mean that the people who are from that type of color and looking, they're all that way, right? That's what prejudice is. That's what racism is. Racism is when you see one thing wrong. That's why the Guardian was a preamble, but before we started on all these paragraphs, he was saying what? Even when they have those bad qualities, even if they are backward and ignorant, you still don't prejudice against them, right? It's not an excuse to do that. Why? Because all 10 people are different character. And it's hard, by the way, when 10 out of a certain looking people or certain language background or certain culture or certain whatever, because we kind of have this animal side of tendencies to lump some people, by the way. It was a matter of security and safety in your heads long time ago, right? Because your own type of people were safe to be with and everybody else was attacking you. So you wanted to differentiate these things. We know these things psychologically now. Animals do that, right? And that is our animal side that does that. But we are human beings, we asked to rise above it and not look at people that way. So if 10 people of a certain kind of language speaking, 5 out of that will treat you really badly or do you wrong, it's really hard for you to not be prejudiced towards the 6th one when they knock at your door, right? It's naturally hard, but I'm asked to not do it and rise above it, right? That's what is being asked for here. So if there are 100 people and 95 people have done you wrong, and they're of a certain one kind or one language or one culture, one nationality, the last 5-year meeting, you still should give them 100% benefit of a doubt that they're good people and treat them each as an individual. That's what fairness and justice means, right? Because 95 doing you wrong does not excuse you to mistreat the other 5 because they might be wrong on that assumption, and then shunning them off because 95 has hurt you. And it's human tendency. You don't want to be hurt, right? It's really hard when people hurt you over and over again to then still be good to the next one that comes your path. But that's what God calls for. That's what God's called for. So we don't see that there is a 20 brown people and all brown people are that way. 20 women, all women are that way. 20 children, all 20 children are that way. That's what the core of prejudice, that's what prejudice means, right? That's where racism stems. What does racism mean? It's like you have certain characters of certain type of people and you dislike those, and then you dislike all of them. And that's so unjust, because if character matters, then there are all sorts of characters among those people. And it doesn't really hurt them only, it hurts ourselves, because you're depriving yourself from these glorious friendships that you could have had, glorious people around you that you could have had, and you're depriving that. You're depriving yourself, your children. You're actually hurting everybody, not just themselves, but your own self, right? So every person that walks into your life, God says, treat them as an individual, and then go from there. Yeah. And because of that, I say, whoever enters my life, I give you 100%. Then if you start doing bad, I will, start cutting your marks. But whoever enters here, regardless of who they are, whatever their social status, color, creed, whatever it is, they come, they knock at my door, I shake hands, I'll give you 100%. I'll think you could be my best friend, and then see where you take it. Yeah. So that's what we are being called here. Right.
Many times we make joke. Many times we make a joke related with certain tribes.
I hate that. From very young age, I hated that. And people will say, oh, grow up, don't be so uptight. And I was like, if I turn the same thing about you, would you say that? And you will notice that in your life, the teaser does not want to be teased, right? The bully does not want to be bullied, and so forth and so on. Nobody likes these kind of things. You don't want that. And you know what? There is no reason for those jokes to be that way. Okay, I've often asked a friend, I was like, okay, rather saying a white person did that, or a black person did that, or a brown person did that, or a Sikh did that, or a Hindu did that, or a Muslim did that. Can't you say a person did that? Tom, Dick, and Harry did that, a Joe Blow did that. The joke has the same effect. It still makes you laugh if it's a joke. Why do you have to implicate somebody in there? We don't need to have those kind of lower level of conversation and jokes, right? So that's what came into your paragraph of chastity, cleanliness and purity of language. That does not mean that we're very boring people. We can't have jokes and funs. We can have all sorts of things, but it is possible to have all sorts of things without hurting people. All right, go on. You're right, Rihanna. Thank you. She brought that up because in subcontinent, that's a very common theme. Like they will always say, oh, a Sardarji did this, or a Muslim did this, or a Hindu did this. They implicate religious people into jokes, and it's sick. All right, go on.
They should each endeavor day and night to fulfill their particular responsibilities and the common task which so urgently faces them. Let them, while each is attempting to contribute its share to the solution of its perplexing problem, call to mind the warnings of Abdul Baha and visualize, while there is yet time, the dire consequences that must follow if this challenging and unhappy situation that faces the entire American nation is not definitely remedied.
All right. He's going to assign some specific tasks to both ends right now. Let's pay attention to it. Whose turn is it?
Let the white make a supreme effort in their resolve to contribute their share to the solution of this problem, to abandon once for all their usually inherent and at times subconscious sense of superiority, to correct their tendency towards revealing a patronizing attitude towards the members of the other race, to persuade them through their intimate,
spontaneous, and informal association
with them of the genuineness of their friendship and the sincerity of their intentions, and to master their impatience of any lack of
and to master their impatience of any lack of responsiveness on the part of a people who have received for so long a period such grievous and slow healing wounds. Same is true for your what we call the untouchables in subcontinent. Same is true in a lots of different minorities in, let's say, Pakistan and other countries. Same is true of a lots of immigrants in Europe and stuff. So look at this as what we are doing to other people. Yeah. Let the Negroes, again, pay attention. We keep on changing the language. In this day and age in America, you can't use this word, by the way, but you can't keep on changing the right? So this is another, again, a thing that you, by keep on changing the names, you cannot resolve a situation. It hasn't been resolved. Right? But in the United States of America, this has become a huge problem. So when you're studying and teaching the Advent, keep that in mind and deal with it accordingly.
Let the Negroes, through a
word Negro just meant black, by the way, right? That's why the word was there. So, okay.
Through a corresponding effort on
their part, show by every means in their power the warmth of their response, their readiness to forget the past, and their ability to wipe out every trace of suspicion that may still linger in their hearts and minds. Can you see, there is few of us who are Americans here. These are exactly the kind of things we are still fighting over. On both sides, these are still kind of the problems. Right? So it's like we are still fighting. Our streets were bloody last year because we are still fighting about what happened 200 years ago, what happened 400 years ago, what we did to each other then. We can't move forward by keep on harping the past. There's no way. Baha'u'llah actually in Tabernacle of Unity has said that like, God has forgiven what was past. You must move forward now on with this and this and this. And in our own lives, you will see that if you keep on harping the past, there is no unity, there is no love. The problem is you cannot go back and undo those things. It's not in human power to go back. And if you keep on harping that, those things will always exist and they will never be corrected. What you can do is to correct today and tomorrow. That's what's in our power. But we can't go back and correct anything. We can acknowledge the good and bad and the ugly and everything else what had happened. But neither erasing it, which our nation is trying to do right now. Erasing means that what? The future generation will never know the atrocities that happened. I would not want that. I will want my future generations to know what had happened so we can not do that again, right? As Baha'u'llah says what? History is the mirror of the future. We don't learn from it. And in many languages, these sentences exist, these proverbs exist. The one who doesn't learn from it repeats it. So erasing it not a problem too. In America, that's what we are trying to. A large group of people are trying that, and that's not a healthy thing to do. We want to look at that. We want to say that that was wrong. We want to be embarrassed about what we have done to each other, and that only will give us strength to move forward. To say we are not going to do this. We are not those people anymore. We are not that. Let's move forward. So here, all of those ingredients are here. They've been talked about. And this was what, 100 years ago, right? More than that. I mean, the Revelation was talking this, and then Abdul Baha and the Guardian are only elaborating on what that means, right? So this has been told us, this has been taught us 170, 80 years ago. But even not then. The Quran says God has no preference. That whole verse Baha'u'llah says, no, God is not respecters of color, is from the Quran as well. Hundreds of years we are not learning because we don't walk on those right paths. We don't eliminate our own things and come forward and help the other to come forward as well. And that's what causes all of this accumulated trauma. We keep on wanting somebody else to do it. And we are told over and over again that it's every one of our job, regardless of what my color is, what my background is, regardless of if I was a victim or if I was an oppressor. Now, especially that I am in a faith, me and you, every one of us is equal in the sight of God, and it's all of our job to cleanse our community and love each other sincerely. Yeah. Go on.
Let neither think that the solution of so vast a problem
Is a
is a
matter that exclusively concerns the other. I hear that a lot in our American community today. No, they should go first. They should do this first. It's not my job to do it. Look what they did to me, or blah, blah, blah. Like, no, we can't move forward that way.
Let neither think that such a problem can either easily or immediately be resolved. Let neither think that they can wait confidently for the solution of this problem until the initiative has been taken and the favorable circumstances created by agencies that stand outside the orbit of their faith. Let neither think that anything short of genuine
love, extreme patience, true humility. Humility does not mean, by the way, oh, no, I'm not pretty. You said I'm pretty, I'm not pretty. That's not what humility is. And if you actually think that you're pretty and you say, no, it's okay, that's actually fake stuff anyway. What did the Guardian say? Humility means you know your strengths and your weaknesses. And that's exactly what matters here, right? So no matter who I am, I'm green, blue, brown, black, white, whatever I am a person. I must search myself and know where my strength is and strengthen his forward, congratulate yourself and strengthen forward. Strength according to the faith, by the way. And where are my weaknesses? Eliminate those. That's what true humility, Guardian said, is knowing your own strengths and weaknesses. All right? So true humility here.
consummate tact, sound initiative,
mature wisdom, and deliberate, persistent, and prayerful effort. Right? So this is another debate in our country right now. Why the law doesn't change this, that, or the way? Why the government doesn't do this or that? Why the blah, 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 blah? Then we'll be happy. No, it's exactly telling us here, no, it's mine and your job. It's us individuals' job to move forward.
can succeed in blotting out the stain which this patent evil has left on the fair name of their common country. Let them rather believe and be firmly convinced that on their mutual understanding,
their amity and sustained cooperation must depend more than any other force or organization operating outside the circle of their faith, the deflection of that dangerous course so greatly feared by Abdul Baha. And we are suffering that. This last year was horrible in America.
And the materialization of the hopes he cherished for their joint contribution to the fulfillment of that country's glorious destiny.
Any questions, comments, remarks so far? All right. So
I have a question. And I guess it's more of an observation than a question, but how do we function? I guess, I don't know, I'm just asking everybody or generally, or just like asking the air, I'm not sure. But how do we function in Baha'i communities, you know, not even just our local communities, but even like the neighboring communities that do the total opposite of what is being written here? Because that happens so much, at least in the Pacific Northwest right now. There has been a large group of people, of like Black people, that have split off and do their own studies, and it's exclusively only for Black individuals, and it's
I was
very,
actually forbidden in the faith.
it's super disheartening to watch and see happen. I mean, my husband is white, and there's just like, I don't know how to help it. I guess just let it ride out and hopefully fizzle out.
No, that's what he's saying, that wouldn't work. Yeah.
Right.
He's already saying that if you think that something else will help out, it wouldn't help out. So actively, we all must need to actively do something about it, right? So, I mean, we are a mixed couple too, yeah, you know that. So same thing, it's like, so I will actually start doing things that are mixed on purpose and break that through. You know, the first and only assembly, well, not only, I think it happened a couple of times, but the very first assembly that was dismantled by the House was LA. Does anybody know this history? All right, it was because of the racial disunity. The racial disunity, they actually started having two feasts, the Persian feast and the non-Persian feast, and then the Black and whites were divided among themselves as well. And that assembly was dismantled by the House. It's a quite a shameful history, you know, in here in California. And that's when William Sears was sent here, the hand of the cause. He lived here for a number of years, starting to deepen people and talk about this. And that's what I would do. I will say, gather them and study the advent of divine justice together. Have all things, and I see this, by the way, I have not seen this in the Baha'i community, thank God, at least around me. But I've seen this in the outside of the Baha'i community, where what is forbidden is for the Black people not to be suspicious of the white people, and white people not to be this, you know, patronizing people. And they both do this to each other, actually, to this day. And therefore, there is no, you can't be friends with somebody you're suspicious of. You know, if everything I said to you, you will put it in the plate of the color, there's nothing we can do together. We both must rise from, I must be always careful that, okay, so if this is what is happening, just be careful how I talk. But you must be careful too, to give me a benefit of a doubt, to say, I am sincerely trying to be your friend. Yeah, but we don't sit in each other's heads. We don't know what triggers us in there, you know. So we can't, only God knows. And we must remember this. So even when somebody says something that sounds a little bit whatever, just we need to have more patience. That's what he's calling for, right? More patience, more tact, and all of that. But actively seeking out to solve and resolve the problem. Because it's a shame if the Baha'is are doing that, really. I mean, it's there is no further shame that we can have than this, that in this faith that we should be doing this. And above and beyond, what we need to learn is that you and I, meaning no matter how opposite spectrums of wealth, social status, backgrounds, immigration, whatever we are at, all of that is not even secondary, somewhere third, fourth, somewhere in the part of my life. The first and foremost, all of us are Baha'is. We are here because of Baha'u'llah, and he loves you the same as he loves me, and he loves that girl or that boy or, you know, that immigrant the same as he loves me. And we get divided over these issues. I mean, I had been thrown fits in my face because I'm first generation immigrant. And unfortunately, it was not by a white friend, it was by a Black friend. And it happened 3-4 times, and every single time it was a Black friend, it was not a white friend. We must look into these problems and we must resolve them. And it wasn't done by somebody outside. It wasn't done by a random, you know, African-American person out there. How could we live with ourselves in the faith this way? I mean, it's a shameful thing to have. And if you see that, do anything in your power to undo it. That's what my job would be, regardless of what the results are, by the way. Yeah, because the results are always not in my hand. To get a perfect result, if you and I are working on something, both of us have to be really that clean heart to get a positive result. You might be working all your best and I'm not there on the same page, and end result is still kind of this hardship. But still my job is to keep on working on it. Yeah, because in my understanding, at the end of my life, God is not going to ask me what results I produced. He's going to ask me what effort I put in. Yeah, daily exertion, daily effort. That's what he looks at. That's what I truly believe he looks at. Regardless of what had happened, even if the whole world still broke down and still did whatever. But I need to know that I stand tall in front of my God, that I understood the scriptures as best I understood. And what I understood, I worked on that. So I will urge you to work on it. And I'm always here, by the way, whatever you need from me on any of these things. Even if it's just a phone call and just, just sort of a moral strength that, somebody did something wrong and you want to cry on a shoulder, I will never stop you from it, ever. Call me. Get your strength up and get up again next day and do it. We need to be here for each other on those. We must do this, or there's no end. You might not have children. I don't have children, but my friends' children will suffer. We are leaving a world behind for them. We must make it better. Yeah. Farzana, did you have your hand up? Farzana, did you have your hand up?
No, when you offering, I said, I need you, come.
Anybody, by the way, I'm always, those of you who have known me a long time, I sincerely mean this.
Thank you.
Even if you called me every day and you cried for an hour, I will not mock you and I will not stop it. We need that. To me, it's not negative. To me, it's not burden. To me, it's not none of that. We must be each other's strength. We must be here for each other. To me, that's what friendship is. Right? And sometimes that's all we need, really. I mean, we live in different places. I can't come and physically help you. But if you just have moral support, somebody's there to listen to you. You can just, when you get tired and you want to scream, call and let's scream together. And next day, let's have our courage to move on and do work again. We all need to scream, by the way, right? I do that in my house every now and then. I'll come down and I'll tell Daniel, like, I want to scream. And he goes, close the doors, and he goes, go scream. So, I would. We all need that. It's okay. Yeah. So I'm sure you all have very good friends who are much better than me, and you have people to depend on. But if you don't, that's fine. I'm here. You have my phone number, right? Call me.
It's disheartening when it comes to the faith, we are supposed to show examples.
Yeah.
But then when it happens inside the faith, you will find it not just the black and the white, but you will see the Persians and the non-Persians, the urban youths and the rural youths, I mean, in India, what I'm talking about.
I saw that in Haifa. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It was like when I first went to Haifa, and the first couple of times I went to the dining hall, I was traumatized to see this. I was like, seriously? I was like, I have a New Zealand table. This is Black people's table. That is subcontinental table. That is what I was like, what? I was like, what? I mean, these are not small issues. So the 3 years I was there, by the way, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I purposefully every day took my plate and my tray, and I gone to one of these tables that I didn't belong to. And I sat there. I was like, here. I did that for 3 years. I was like, and most of them were welcoming, by the way. Every now and then somebody was a little uncomfortable, but they immediately were welcoming. So what I learned was that it's not that they were purposefully doing this to segregate themselves, but nobody was taking initiative to not do this. And a lot of time they thought there was an African table of a certain country. There was a table that only New Zealanders came and sat and ate together the lunch. And they called it a New Zealand table. And so I will break these rules and I will go about them. And they will be like, first of all, I learned that most people don't initiate it. That's why they get into this the little ones forgive my French, this shit, because there's nothing else to call it really. Maybe I don't have rectitude of conduct. I should clean my language, but it's like, oh my God, it's just angers me when you see that in the faith. Yeah. And a lots of times it was that those who considered themselves that either they were coming from poor backgrounds or whatever kind of issues, they themselves had these packages. They thought that other people won't accept them without trying. And that's why I understand these writings where it says, go actively go search it out and do it. You know? There was not a single time I sat somewhere where they thought, where I would feel that they will think that maybe you shouldn't be here. You know, none of them. But none of them are doing it on themselves to go and integrate themselves. You know, I teach classes, I teach my immigrant friends that. I was like, don't wait for them to come to you. Go make friends. You've come to somebody's home. This country is somebody's home. I walk up to anybody and talk to them. I make friends. And it's not easy for me, by the way. Don't think that oh, she's very social, you know, she can do it and I can't. I was the shyest person growing up in my household and around anybody you would see, ever. People don't believe that, but I was. I actually actively changed myself after I became a Baha'i because Baha'u'llah says, do these things. And if you can't talk to more than 2 people, how would you do these things? So no matter how much your heart is shivering, your legs are shivering, you are concerned inside that somebody would reject you. It hurts all of us, of course. And yet that's what the Lord wants. The Lord we love with all our being wants that. Well, I don't have any other choice. None of us have any other choice but to get up and learn how to do it. Yeah. So in your cultures too, when you think that somebody doesn't think you're pretty, go sit with them. Show them how pretty you are. Right? Show them how pretty you are.
They just talk right on your face, you know. You're talking about we will think they will reject us. They literally reject you.
I know. Always remember that's their loss, not yours. Feel pity for them. Pity for them, not for yourself, all right? Because they're the one who are doing it wrong, not you. Have the confidence in you. The 2 of you are the most beautiful people in this world. I mean it. And have that courage inside you and have that strength. Know that this is true. So when they reject something, anything, any one of you, it's their fault. They're losing somebody who could be an amazing friend to them. Who's at loss? I really believe I'm an amazing friend, by the way. God has made me that way. I will stand by you. I will do whatever. So if you look down at me and reject me, whose loss is that? You know, have the strength inside you. Know that you're beautiful, inside out, and act that way. If nothing else at all, you have Baha'u'llah. Oh my God. There's nothing more precious in anybody's soul than that. You have him and you have his love. What else do you want, right? I mean, sincerely, there's nothing else what we could want. Yeah. Remember the story Baha'u'llah tells in Nigan we just finished of the servant of Ali who said he was so poor he didn't have a penny. And Ali told him, Imam Ali told him, peace be upon them, how could you be, no, it was Imam Jafar, sorry. And he's like, how could you be so poor? You're so rich. And I was like, how am I rich? I don't even have a penny. Remember what he said? He says, don't you have my love? He said, yay, I do. He said, would you exchange it for 1,000 dinar? 1,000 dinar at that time was more than a few $1 million today, by the way. Okay, so it was not a small amount of money. And guess what? It wasn't just a matter of talk. If he said he would, the Imam would have given him the money and say, here, take it. You know what his answer was? Yeah, I will not exchange that love for the universe. He said, how such a one who holds such a treasure can be poor? And Baha'u'llah loves you. The Lord of the universe loves you. How could anybody look down at you or discriminate you? And who cares what they think? Yeah. So stand up tall.
In Hidden words, Baha'u'llah says, noble I have created thee.
Why do thou abase thyself? And abasement is the part of the one who is discriminating, not the one who is discriminated against. Remember that. Yeah, it's their sad story, not yours. Right? And I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not negating that, by the way, right? All I'm saying is to start putting that in perspective, and you will have the courage. And yes, it still would hurt, but it wouldn't hurt where you become immobilized. It wouldn't hurt that way at all. You shrug your shoulders, you move on. It's like, you idiots. But when you keep on trying that, I have seen humongous amounts of successes in trying to actively do these things, by the way. There's so many that do come forward. And that's the reward of the action, by the way, sooner or later. Right? Even the initial ones, because of whom you engage, maybe will stay the same. There's so many that come forward that they couldn't. Always remember, sometimes they don't know where the road is. Right? Because we kind of misjudge on times to think maybe they're doing it on purpose. In my life, I've learned that lots of people, there are those who did do it on purpose, by the way, but lots of people don't do those stupid things on purpose. They just don't know where the road is. And that's why we asked to be an example. If you're an example, yes, 10 wouldn't come, but 50 others would. Right? Seriously, I mean, that's my lifelong experience anyway, or at least my whole 24 years of Baha'i life experience. You keep on doing the right thing, the things turn around. There are those who come, and you don't even look at that corner that some change can come from there, and it does. You know? And those of you who have served with me in Haifa, you have witnessed that with your own eyes. When I went there, nothing was happening, right? There was one class by Mr. Dunbar on Thursdays, and that was age limited. Most of us couldn't even attend. Nobody was doing anything. No one. Right? So I thought, oh my God, what's wrong with these people? They're 300 some youth and they don't want to do anything with their lives. So many of them were binge watching Desperate Wives over the whole of the weekend, sitting next to shrines. All right. To me, in my book, that is a very abhorrent kind of thing to do, really. I mean, you're here just for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, and that's what you're spending your life for. I was amazed. And so I thought, these people, they don't care. And then soon, and within a few months, because of long story, I started one class, second class. Soon enough, what? Within a few months, there were 50 people on waiting list. Every class I taught, no? Within 1 year, I had to double it. And we had very hard work every day. And I had to do 2 a week, right? 2 a week. And there were 50 people on the waiting list on every class we did. We did all the English scriptures that are available, all the guardians work during that 3 years. Yeah. I had to actually kick people out to make room for those who are serious, rather than always trying to beg who's coming for class. Yeah. The lesson that taught me was that not these people were not interested in doing the right thing, but most people will not take initiative themselves. And when somebody does, they do come. And once I started taking initiative, there were so many others who did. Hari started his Samasu question class himself. Pedram started a God Passes By class after very few months of attending few of the classes. And you have no idea how that uplifts my soul. Right? Because this is like now new trees are coming out of your seeds and your efforts. And how many more trees would have come out of their efforts and their seeds? So it happens. It's like, I've learned such a lesson out of those things. I was like, just do what your job is to do. Forget about what people are doing. Because again, in the end of life, when we get there and meet him face to face, as he promised us, he's not going to say, I can't make those excuses at that point to, this didn't come around, or that guy was doing this, or this girl was doing that. He's not going to hear any of that. He's just going to ask, what did you do? Regardless of what was going on around, what did you do? That's all the answers I have to give. So let's have that courage, and let's be courage for each other and do the right thing. For whatever little difference we can make, let's start making the difference actively. And I'm always here to help. Yeah. All right. What's next? Which paragraph?
Shimi, just to tell, Shimi, it's not only about color. There's prejudice and in many aspects, like in office, like I am subjected to it, not because of my color. Yeah, okay. A lot of people are wheatish complexion. But there are people, a lot of times, I would say Shimi, Carmen, everybody on this call, that sometimes people are doing it out of jealousy.
Yeah.
They
More of the time out of jealousy than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to be with like you, they cannot be. So the other thing they try to do, the crab mentality, they want to pull you down. That's all that I have experienced a lot.
I was warned about this. He says that the humanity has never witnessed jealousy of this level as exists now. And it would not exist again in future, but it is here now. And our job is to kill it so it doesn't live in future. Yeah. In my understanding, when he was saying it has never lived before and it never be this way in future, he didn't mean just his own life. He mean this dispensation. I see that around. Nations are jealous of each other and we are having wars over these things. And it all stems from individual human beings. It's not some other people from outside that are doing this to each other. We're doing this to each other as individual human beings. And because of that, I often say that when we sit somewhere and that's why politics were disallowed to us, because that's not where the change is going to happen. Because that's not where atrocity is. Atrocity is here in my heart and your heart. And if you don't change individuals, none of the systems will do anything for you, for us. It cannot be done. We've been promised that for 200 years. Change your own hearts and hearts of those who are around you, and the world will change. And if there are only 7, 8, 9 million Baha'is today, if every Baha'i would actually actively start doing this today, I actually can see it that within one generation, we can change the world. Don't you see that? You see that. In one generation, we can change the world, but we're not doing our work. We're not doing the work on the lines that is being asked us to do. Yeah. So if you want to count 2 and 2 and get the answer 4, you must use 2 and 2 to get to 4. If you're working all day long and doing everything else, it would not get you to 4. You can say, oh, I worked very hard, but you didn't actually do what was needed to do to get the results. Yeah. So for me personally, when I do actively teach, I have been for 24 years. And whenever my efforts don't bear fruit, I do reflect on my whole thing. I was like, where did I go wrong? What did I do not right? First, sometimes, yes, there are people who don't want to hear it. That's fine. But that should not be your first mode of looking, because then you're always putting the burden on somebody else. I must have the burden on myself first, because that improves me. So if there was something wrong that I found, that I can undo that, I can improve that. But if my mode of operation was always that, oh, well, this person wasn't receptive, or this person, whatever, I'll keep on doing the wrong stuff. Yeah. All right. And quickly, I think we have spoke about that personally with the Shimi and Carmel and other people. But I grew up in my family. For some reason, I don't know when. By the time I grew up, I still have mine and Farzana's complexion is the same. I think we're kind of wheatish brown complexion. The camera makes it very much whiter than I am for some reason because of the lights, I think. But growing up in my family, I was the darkest among my sisters and the shortest among my sisters. And so from very young age, I was picked on for these things. Right? And it was in one sense, it was a horrible childhood. At the same time, it was that caused me to become more spiritual, actually, because I wanted to spend more time with God. Because I was so uncomfortable with people, the way they treated you. So I wanted to spend more time with books and wanted to spend more time with God. And that's what it opened up a different road and a different life for me. And slowly, very fast and at a very young age already, I stopped caring about what they thought about you. And cared. I was happy in my own little world of my books, my philosophy, and my religion, and my God. And guess what? Soon enough, you were successful. You were this and that, and all of those people who wanted to discard you, they want to sit next to you. And I tell this to my children, my youth and stuff in classes. It's like, don't even care about how they look at you or treat you right now. Focus on yourself, focus on your faith, focus on your soul, make something of yourself that is worthy for God and yourself. That's it, not even for any other purpose. all the world will come pouring down when you actually have something. And that's just a side result, by the way, right? We shouldn't even do it for that purpose that they will come. Don't even care about that. Don't care about, I mean, all of you that are sitting here are so blessed that you are in the forefront line of humanity. You got this faith. People are struggling out there. All right, next paragraph. Their double crusade.
Their double crusade. Dearly beloved friends, a rectitude of conduct which in all its manifestations offers a striking contrast to the despitefulness and
So highlight a few sentences, please. I think I'm going to read most of the paragraph. Reshma, you can take up the next because this one is, we need to highlight this. It's a very, very important thing. And here, regarding dearly beloved friends, a rectitude of conduct, righteousness means rectitude of conduct means righteousness. Righteousness means what? Right judgment, correct judgment, fair judgment, justice, fairness. All right. Now, remember, justice has two different elements to it. There is fairness that is enjoined on all of us, and there is a judicial justice that is granted to institutions only. Right. So, so always remember that. Dearly beloved friends, a rectitude of conduct which in all its manifestations offers a striking contrast to the deceitfulness and corruption that characterizes the political life of the nation and of the parties and factions that compose it. The moment you're partisan, it is unjust, by the way. The thing in itself is unjust, okay? Because you are willy-nilly running with a whole group of things, no matter what they do, because you are part of that. The whole partisanships of nationalism is based on that, and it is unjust. It's against human beings. So in contrast, what we should do? In contrast, we have what? A holiness and chastity that are diametrically opposed to the moral laxity and licentiousness, which defile the character of a not inconsiderable proportion of its citizens, right? So when they take pride in school, we use all the F words in every sentence. We have clean language. They want to take pride in we are modern, we are nude. No, we are conservative in our looks, in our behavior, and in our dress. That the chastity subject whole page was teaching us that, right? Chastity means chastity in all things, right? So the all sorts of other moral problems are becoming more and more, and we have more and more clean character. And that's what sets up the example, right? And when we don't do that in shame and embarrassment, as if we are this minority and we have been asked these things, we do it in pride, because you need to know that if you're doing this, then you are the ones who's on the right side and right path. Yeah. An interracial fellowship completely purged from the curse of racial prejudice, which stigmatizes the vast majority of his people. Yeah. These are the weapons, and same thing in India and Pakistan, wherever you else are at. We must show forth this love to all the people who are underclass, undereducated, under whatever, right? We all have jobs, we have different jobs we do, but as a human being, a king or a sweeper enter my house, they both get the same seat at the same table. That's what we are called for, right? A king does not get a special glass and the sweeper another one. Both of them drink in my crystal glasses because they're guests. Yeah. These are the weapons, right? These are the weapons. We don't want to take up guns and swords. We want this weapon of a sharp character that is diametrically opposite of what our societies are doing in a very good way. These are the weapons which the American believers can and must wield in their double crusade. Double crusade. What is the double crusade? First, to regenerate the inward life of their own community, right? And that actually is already secondary, because now there was already a crusade a few pages ago. That crusade was what? Rectitude of my own conduct, my own chastity, my own freedom of prejudice, my own transformation. I cannot transform my community unless I don't have those ills inside me. Okay. So I transform myself. Now the next crusade is what? I transform my own community, which Alicia, you were saying, if that stuff is happening within our own community, it must change, right? Next level is that after yourself, your own community. First, to regenerate the inward life of their own community, meaning within Baha'is, yeah? And next, to assail the long-standing evils that have entrenched themselves in the life of their nation. And here we are, most of the time we talk about changing the world, which is the last stage somewhere else. So myself first, then my own local Baha'i, my family, by the way, if you actually make a list for the whole sum of the writings, my own life, my family, your own children, your own marriage, your little entity needs to be exemplary. Your marriage relationship needs to be exemplary, what Baha'i love is. Then I go and start showing this as an example and start teaching, deepening teaching through my character and deepening in my own community. Once my own community is transformed, then you move on to your neighborhood, to your city, to your state, to your nation. After all of that that's what grassroots means. We talk about this word a lot, but we don't want to do it. So ground up, that's how trees and vegetables and fruits grow. They don't get dropped from the sky, grounds up. So you start from there. And once my nation is different, then that nation itself will what? Guide the world spiritually. It's promised in our writings. And next, to assail, all right, so in the nation, the perfection of such weapons, the wise and effective utilization of every one of them, wherever you see the opportunity, use it. And sometimes create the opportunity, right? More than the furtherance of any particular plan. Pay attention to this, by the way, all right? We are so much into plans and we forget what our individual job is. The perfection of such weapons, the wise and effective utilization of every one of them, more than the furtherance of any particular plan, or the devising of any special scheme, or the accumulation of any amount of material resources, can prepare them for the time when the hand of destiny will have directed them to assist in creating and in bringing into operation the world order which is now incubating within the worldwide administrative institutions of their faith. All right. So our job was not to go change the world ever, still is not. Our job still is to change myself, my family first, my community first, my city first, my nation first. That's my job is. And we always want to put the cart in front of the horse, right? All of us have the desire to change the world, but we don't know where to go about it. We don't want to start here. Yeah. You don't fertilize the top branches of the tree, you fertilize the roots. Go on, Reshma, go on, please, son, because I took.
What about my number?
Oh, no, because I took Reshma's paragraph, so I want to give her back to read one.
Okay.
And then it's your turn.
In the conduct of this twofold crusade, the violent warriors struggling in the name and for the cause of Baha'u'llah must of necessity encounter stiff resistance and suffer many a setback.
Which is a prophecy and a promise, by the way, right? So when you're saying, okay, so, or at least in the West, we have much more different problems than you guys have. You have different problems in Asia. So here you have, okay, I'm a youth now, I have free relationship, I have this and that and the other, and the Baha'i youth can't have that. Society mocks you and laughs at you because they consider you backward, right? These are difficult situations, but we must do it, yeah? Must of necessity have the setbacks and resistance.
Their own instincts no less than the fury of conservative forces, the opposition of vested and the objections of a corrupt and
pleasure-seeking generation. Corrupt and pleasure-seeking generation.
must be reckoned with.
Resolutely resisted. So no matter how much fun whoever is making of you, I stand tall with my faith. And you can't
And-
unless you really understand and take pride in them, by the way. If you're doing it only just for a sense of duty or because your parents are telling you and all that, you will fail and you will be miserable. And that's why it's important that we understand them for ourselves, for why they are the actual, the highest level of things and living. And that gives you courage to live them. Go on.
And completely overcome, as their defensive measures for the impending struggle are organized and extended storms of abuse and ridicule and campaigns of condemnations and
They become loosed against them.
maybe unloosed against them. Their faith they may soon find has been
Salted.
Their
It
motives
happens all the time with all of us, by the way. Okay? All of us. I think most of you are actually, or if you're not, as soon as you actively embark on working on it, all of this will happen to you. Take warning and be prepared for it. What do they call it? Be forewarned is forearmed. You already know this is going to happen. It gives you strength. You know it's coming. So not that it wouldn't hurt you or it wouldn't maybe stumble you a little bit, but it won't kill you.
their motives misconstitute their aims defamed, their aspirations derided, their institutions strong, their influence littered, their authority undermined, and their cause at times deserted by a few who will either be incapable of appreciating the nature of their ideals or unwilling to bear the brunt of the mounting criticism which such a contest is sure to involve. Because of Abdul Baha, the beloved master has
Prophesied.
many attempts
will be visited upon you. Troubles will befall you and suffering afflict you. Same thing was said by Christ to his disciples. You will be cursed for my sake and killed in my path. And that's okay. Rehana, is it you now? So Guardian is warning you that he's accepting it, he's admitting it, he's telling you it's not an easy task. Nonetheless, we must do it. We must do it. And for me personally, out of my experience, I can promise that the strength comes from study and understanding. The more you study and understand the faith and its writings, the deepest your love grows for Baha'u'llah. Because it's beautiful for God, what God has given you. It creates a beautiful life. It curbs and takes care of all the ills outside. And the more you realize that, the more it gives you strength to withstand all of these things. And these things happen to me all the time, by the way. You should interview Isha someday to ask her what she sees around. So, all right, go on.
Let not, however, the invincible army of Baha'u'llah,
Invincible, one that cannot be defeated, all right? This army cannot be defeated.
who in the West and at one of its potential storm centers is to fight in his name and for his sake, one of its fiercest and most glorious battles. Be afraid of any criticism that might be directed against it. Let it not be deterred by any condemnations with which the tongue of the slanderer may seek to debase its motives. Let it not recoil before the threatening advances of the forces of fanaticism or orthodoxy, of corruption, and of prejudice that may be leagued against it. The voice of criticism is a
I can
voice.
highlight this, by the way. It's a potent thing Guardian has told you, and I witnessed to this in my life experience that this is true. The voice of criticism is a voice that indirectly reinforces the proclamation of its cause. It really does.
Unpopularity, but
Unpopularity, but serves to throw into greater relief the contrast between it and its adversaries. While ostracism, meaning when people cut you out, Jimmy, as you were saying, they will reject you. That's what ostracism means. They cut you off. You are this other thing. While ostracism in itself, the magnetic power that must eventually win over to its camp the most vociferous and inveterate amongst its foes. It's true. Over and over again. Sometimes some of them have come forward after 20 some years. It took that long. The truth wins. I swear to God, it's just amazing, right? If you keep your perseverance and you keep walking on the right path with the writings, the victory in the end would be yours.
here just I want to add the experience of my niece who was in 9th, 10th standard. And he must have read all these things in his capacity, and he must be following such a certain examples.
Yeah.
So at that time, the friends of his were criticized and doing something wrong. But when this same people, friends, came in to do study Ruhi 1, and they acknowledged that now we understood why this fellow was different from us,
Yes.
because he must have read all these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes time. Already in the land where the greatest battles of the faith have been fought and its most rapacious enemies have lived. The march of events, the slow yet steady
Infiltration of its ideals.
what is this?
Infiltration, meaning you got seeped in. You got your ideals seeped in into other people's lives, even though they were persecuting you and killing you, right? Even Iran talks of equality of men and women, even though they haven't achieved it. They want it, right? They want it. That's the fruit of the faith, by the way. The world has not eliminated war yet, but it wants to. Every country's people talk about elimination of war. That's your fruit of your faith. Make sense?
And the fulfillment of his prophecies have resulted not only in disarming, in the transforming the character of some of its most redoubtable enemies, but also in securing their firm and unreserved allegiance to its founders. So complete a transformation, so startling a reversal of attitude can only be effected if that chosen vehicle, which is
Chosen
designed,
vehicle is you and I. Chosen vehicle, all right? God chose you to bring you here. There's a job to be done.
chosen vehicle which is designed to carry the message of Baha'u'llah to the hungry,
To the
the
hungry, restless, and unshepherded multitudes is itself, meaning myself, thoroughly cleansed from the defilements which it seeks to remove. Right? The Quran had said that if you have a problem, you don't even have a right to tell anybody else that they shouldn't have it. You have a problem, you have a sin, you have a weakness, you have no right to tell anyone else they shouldn't have it. Does this make sense? It's Isha's turn. I'm going to turn my mic off. So pay attention to your own important things.
It is upon you, therefore, my best beloved friends, that I wish to impress not only the urgency and imperative necessity of your holy task, but also the limitless possibilities which it possesses of raising to such an exalted level not only the life and activities of your own community, but the motives and standards that govern the relationships existing among the people to which you belong. Undismayed by the formidable nature of this task, you will, I am confident, meet as befits you the challenge of these times, so fraught with peril, so full of corruption, and yet so pregnant with the promise of future so bright that no previous age in the annals of mankind can rival its glory.
So that immediately was an answer to your concern and questions, Alicia, have you noticed? Yeah. And yes, this paragraph especially, no matter how formidable the nature of the task, if you embark on it and do the right thing, there will be results. It's inevitable. 63.
Dearly beloved friends, I have attempted in the beginning of these pages to convey an idea of the glorious opportunities as well as the tremendous responsibilities which, as a result of the persecution of the far-flung faith of Baha'u'llah, now face the community of the American believers at so critical a stage in the formative period of their faith, and in so crucial an epoch in the world's history.
Right, so remember the first few pages where the Guardian was telling us how Germany went down, Ishkabad went down, Iran went down, Haifa went down. So it says that whole persecution of the faith everywhere on the globe is leaving us now to come forward and be the vanguard, right? We were not on the front lines, but he says it's your time now, yeah, to come to the front lines and do your work.
I have dwelt sufficiently upon the character of the mission, which in a not too distant future that community must, through the impelling force of circumstances, arise and carry out. I have uttered the warning which I felt would be necessary to a clearer understanding and a better discharge of the tasks lying ahead of it. I have set forth and stressed as far as it was in my power those exalted and dynamic virtues, those lofty standards which, difficult as they are to attain,
Most difficult as they are to attain, constitute nonetheless the essential requirement. Essential means without it, there is no building, nothing exists. Essential is an integral part of something, right? Essential requirement.
essential requirements for the success of
those tasks. And I often remind friends of these words. Yeah, you can keep on working until you're blue in the face. And then you get really disheartened because nothing is working. So why are you not successful? And 100% times, I promise you, because you're not fulfilling the essential requirements of success, right? He didn't say you can't work without it. You can keep on working, whatever you're doing. But if you want to be successful, then there are essential requirements to follow through, right?
A word, I believe, should now be said in connection with the material aspect of their immediate task, upon the termination of which, at its appointed time, must depend not only the unfoldment of the subsequent stages in the divine plan envisaged by Abdu'l-Baha, but also the acquisition of those capacities which will qualify them to discharge in the fullness of time the duties and responsibilities demanded by that greater mission, which it is the privilege to perform.
So he's going to teach us how to prepare ourselves as teachers. So no. Yeah. And just because somebody asked you to do a thing 200 years ago and we didn't do, doesn't mean it went away. As long as you don't do it, as long as you will be taking longer to succeed in it. If it's an essential requirement and essential requisites, we will not succeed until we start fulfilling them. It's a promise of God, always has been. Yeah? So let's see what he's going to tell us about how to do it. Teaching.
The 7-year plan, with its twofold aspects of temple ornamentation and extension of teaching activity, and going towards the northern and southern American continents, is now well advanced into its 2nd year and offers to anyone who has observed its progress in recent months signs that are extremely heartening and which augur well for the attainment of its objectives within the allotted time. The successive steps designed to facilitate and covering the entire field of the work to be achieved in connection with the exterior ornamentation of the temple have, for the most part, been taken. The final phase, which is to mark the triumphant conclusion of a 30-year-old enterprise, has at long last been entered. The initial contract connected with the first and main story of that historic edifice has been signed. The fund associated with the beloved name of the greatest holy roof has been launched. The uninterrupted continuation to its very end of so laudable an enterprise is now assured. The poignant memories of one whose heart so greatly rejoiced at the rearing of the superstructure of this sacred house will so energize the final exertions required to complete it, as to dissipate any doubt that may yet linger in anyone as to the capacity of its builders to worthily consummate their task.
So the few things that were given for the 7-year plan, physically speaking, the guardian is just wrapping it up to say, you have already initiated on what material resources need to fulfill those. And he's going to come to then now the teaching requirements. Whose turn is it?
It's my turn. The teaching requirements. The teaching aspect of the plan must now be pondered. Its challenge must be met and its requirements studied.
Challenge must be met and its requirements studied. Must be what does it require to succeed? Must be studied, weighed and fulfilled. Must, by the way, guardian said when he says must, that's an order. That's a covenant issue, yeah, because he's the guardian of the he's the interpreter and the guardian of the cause of God. When he says when I insist on some things, then he's talking as the guardian, as the interpreter of the word of God. And that becomes my duty to do. Yeah.
Superb and irresistible as is the beauty of the first Mashriqul Asghar of the West, majestic as are its dimensions, unique as it is as its architecture, and priceless as are the ideals and the aspirations which it symbolizes. It should be regarded at the present time as no more than an instrument for an effective propagation of the cause and a wider diffusion of its teachings. In this respect, it should be viewed in the same light as the administrative institutions of the faith, which are designed as vehicles for the proper dissemination of its ideals, its tenets, and varieties.
Varieties mean all the main principles and main teachings of the faith. That's what varieties mean. Next. So far, so good. Pretty straightforward. 66.
I think it's me. It is therefore to the teaching requirements of the 7-year plan that the community of the American believers must henceforth direct their careful and sustained attention. The entire community must, as one man, arise to fulfill them, to teach the cause of God, to proclaim its truths, to defend its interests, to demonstrate by words as well as by deeds its indispensability, its potency, and universality should at no time be regarded as the exclusive concern or sole privilege of Baha'i administrative institutions, be they assemblies or committees. All must
Participate. Yeah.
However humble their origin, however limited their experience, however restricted their means, however deficient their education, however pressing their cares and preoccupations, however unfavorable the environment in which they live. Oops, sorry. God, Baha'u'llah himself has unmistakably revealed, hath prescribed unto every one the duty of teaching his cause. Say, he further has written, teach ye the cause of God, O people of Baha, for God hath prescribed unto every one the duty of proclaiming his message.
Unto everyone the duty of proclaiming his message. That's in Aqdas, right? It's our primary duty of every Baha'i to teach the cause. Why? Again, we're not putting a badge on ourselves as you converted somebody, because you opened up the path, reconciliation, love, and friendship that builds peace in this world. And if you don't understand and present the writings from that angle, then we're wasting our time. You know? The more people will learn how to love each other, the better and closer we are to the peace we are all looking for. That's why we teach the cause. And it has answers to all of our ills in the world. Nothing else has the answer. It's not one of the things. It's the things. We must understand that. It's the answer. There is no other answers. Go on.
Proclaiming his message, and regardeth it as the most meritorious of all deeds.
As soon as we understand what the faith is actually trying to accomplish, you look around the globe and all of its ills are because we are not implementing the solutions God has provided 178 years ago already. And the longer it goes, the deeper it hurts, by the way. Right? Because we become more cynical and the problems become more complicated too, the longer you let them linger. Same as you have cancer in your body. If you don't treat it right away, it takes you to death. Next.
Is Hari there? It's Hari and then me. Other side, go ahead.
A high and exalted position in the ranks of the community, conferring as well on its holder certain privileges and prerogatives. No doubt invest him with a responsibility that he cannot honorably shirk in his duty to teach and promote the faith of God. It may, at times, though not invariably, create greater opportunities and furnish better facilities to spread the knowledge of that faith and to win supporters to its institutions. It does not, however, under any circumstances, necessarily carry with it the power of exercising great influence on the minds and hearts of those to whom that faith is presented. How often, and the early history of the faith in the land of its birth offers many a striking testimony. Have the lowest adherents of the faith, unschooled and utterly inexperienced, with no standing whatever and in some cases devoid of intelligence, been capable of winning victories for their cause, before which the most brilliant achievements of the learned, the wise and experienced have failed.
So the guardian is saying is that if you have a position or rank in the faith, or you're serving on some higher level of institution, or this or that, or you have some other very high position somewhere in society, you might have more and higher opportunities to teach. That does not mean that those are the ones only who can teach. That our history is full of it, that everyone, well, first of all, because Baha'u'llah gave it a duty to every Baha'i to teach. So we can't just look at somebody else to say, you go ahead and do the job because you are this, that, or the other. Everyone's job is to teach. And remember, we talked about in Igana, I think about this story quite a bit, about Mirza Abu Fazl, who was taught by a blacksmith, a total unliterate blacksmith Baha'i who taught Mirza Abu Fazl, who's our top scholar to this day. To this day, nobody has beaten that man's scholarship in the faith. This guy was taught by a blacksmith who was just doing horses' shoes and was totally illiterate, right? And that blacksmith's photo hangs in the mansion of Baji. Yeah, what an honor. What an honor. It was Mr. Dunbar used to tell this story. He says when he was in Nicaragua, I think, or some other South American country, he said this guy became a Baha'i and he was totally illiterate again, and got so excited and he was so in love and all that of the whole thing. And he says he will go run to the people and he will tell them, he say that, this message, the promised one is come, the message is come, and it's so exciting. And he says, I can't pronounce his name. I don't know what his name is because he couldn't pronounce Baha'u'llah. And he says, I can't even pronounce his name, but there are people around here who know so much better than I do. And they can tell you all those things, those kind of things. You must come with me. And he says he will bring like droves of people with them to the teachers because his excitement was so, contagious. People really wanted, and he couldn't really, he wasn't capable of doing more than that. But his love was genuine. He fell in love with it. His love was genuine. So even his amount of effort that to anybody else would have been like, okay, what you can do. He actually brought more people into the faith, even though now somebody else who was capable was teaching them than anything else. And we must look at our own capacities that way too. Yeah. We were sitting in a cluster meeting once, and somebody was harping on people, they must do this, they must do this, and a lot of people can't do that. And so I finally stood up and I said, how about we actually involve everyone with whatever talents they have. So if you're going out and teach and you need to come back and you're spending hours doing something and you need to come back and you have no time left and somebody brings food for you to eat, aren't they actually equal partners to you with your teaching efforts? Why don't we involve people at wherever they're at? And then, of course, consistently promote them too, that they can have the let go of the shyness and they can have the knowledge to do actual first level of thing. But teaching work needs all sorts of efforts. And if you can look at people and engage them lovingly and respectably, not just that, oh, you are doing some lower type of work, because all work is important at the same level, then we can have much better success. In that sense, I always just look back and I'm like, oh, I wish Farzana was living next door, right? Because I was teaching and Farzana would bring food or clean up the kitchen, and it was such an amazing amount of help because it allowed you time to do more. It allowed both of us to do more. So we have few readers left. So, and I know, that I honor my time. If you want to quit and go, our time is done. If you allow the rest of them to quickly read at least a paragraph, we can do that. What do you guys suggest? I don't want my request to be a burden on your time because you could have other commitments. So
I can stay.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next?
It's me.
Purification.
It's me. Teacher Abdul Baha has testified, according to the history of the church, was also incapable of keeping count of the days of the week. Whenever he decided to go fishing, he would tie up his weekly food into 7 parcels, and every day he would eat one of them. And when he had reached the 7th, he would know that the Shabbat had arrived, and thereupon would observe it.
Can you imagine the sincerity of this soul? That's what caused him to become the leaders of mankind. A total illiterate fisherman, yeah? But it was important to him to follow God's law. God's law was to spend Sabbath in prayer. And he couldn't discern any other way, so he devised a plan for himself how to do it.
If the Son of Man was capable of infusing into apparently so crude and helpless an instrument such potency as to cause, in the words of Baha'u'llah, the mysteries of wisdom and of utterance to flow out of his mouth, and to exhort him above the rest of his disciples, and render him fit to become his successor and the founder of his church, how much more can the Father, who is Baha'u'llah, empower the most puny and insignificant among his followers to achieve, for the execution of his purpose, such wonders as would dwarf the mightiest achievements of even the first apostle of Jesus Christ.
These are the titles of different manifestations, by the way. We are not into making distinctions of superiority. Be very mindful about that. The Bab Abdul Baha, moreover, has written, I think it's my turn, had said, should a tiny ant desire, we talked about this a while back, should a tiny ant desire in this day to be possessed of such power as to be able to unravel the abstrusest and most bewildering passages of the Quran, its wish will no doubt be fulfilled, inasmuch as the mystery of eternal might vibrates within the innermost beings of all created things. If so helpless a creature can be endowed with so subtle a capacity, how much more efficacious must be the power released through the liberal effusions of the grace of Baha'u'llah, right? And what was the essence of that quote, by the way? Desire and wish. That's what Peter was doing. He had desire to fulfill God's law, and he was working very hard within his capacity to do so. And that sincerity of his task has brought him to be the stone, to be the rock on which the church was built, right? So without, I have spoken this about before, to whole of my understanding and my own experience, unless you desire, that's yours to cultivate. Nothing changes. But once you desire for all your heart and start working on what you actually know already, he sends help. Further and further and further helps and gets you better and better and better at your task. Yeah. Who's next?
I'm next. The field is indeed so immense, the period so critical, the
This is
cause
one of my
so
favorite paragraphs. There are a couple of paragraphs of The Guardian that are very powerful. This is one of them. Go on.
the workers so few, the time so short, the privilege so priceless, that no follower of the faith of Baha'u'llah, worthy to bear his name, can afford a moment's hesitation. That God-born force, irresistible in its sweeping power, incalculable in its potency, unpredictable in its course, mysterious in its workings, and awe-inspiring in its manifestations. A force which, as the Bab has written, vibrates within the innermost being of all created things, and which, according to Baha'u'llah, has through its vibrating influence upset the equilibrium of the world and revolutionized its ordered life. Such a force, acting even as a two-edged sword, is under our very eyes, sundering on one hand the age-old ties which for centuries have held together the fabric of civilized society, and is unloosing, on the other hand, the bonds that still fetter the infant and as yet unemancipated faith of Baha'u'llah, the undreamt of opportunities offered through the operation of this force. The American believers must now rise and
Must
fully
now
and
rise. That must now has not changed until the world is changed and won over, right? So you can't say it was then. Our duties are not done until we reach the stage of what? Commonwealth. The Guardians already said the 7 stages, right? Our work is not done until we reach there.
fully and courageously exploit them. The holy realities of the conquerors on high, writes Abdul Baha, yearn in this day in the most exalted paradise to return unto this world, so that they may be aided to render some service to the threshold of the Abha beauty and arise to demonstrate their servitude to his sacred threshold.
The ones who are already gone and no one wants to return, there are such opportunities to give back the love to the world and implement what it's so glorious a civilization in future, that he's saying they're actually asking that they should be here and help. How much more so us, right? Who's next?
Ariana.
A world dimmed by the steadily dying out light of religion.
Steadily dying out light of religion.
Heaving with the explosive forces of a blind and triumphant nationalism. Scorched with
Blind and triumphant nationalism. We are allowed to love our countries, but we are not allowed to have blind and triumphant nationalism.
Scorched with the fires of pitiless persecution, whether racial or religious, deluded by the false theories and doctrines that threaten to supplant the worship of God in the sanctification of his laws.
Both communism and atheism has been doing this for 100 some years now.
Innovated by a rampant and brutal
Materialism. Materialism is not consumerism. We already spoke about it, what materialism means, all right? This world is it. You are running after its vanities only, its successes only. And you forget about that my life of the soul is for eternity. That's what materialism is. You're only concerned with contingent world here, which blinds us and gives us all sorts of problems because we don't look far enough to say, I will be living forever. I need to focus on my correctness of my ethics.
Disintegrating through the corrosive influence of moral and spiritual decadence. And
doing all things that were forbidden to us, by the way. All things that have been forbidden to humanity, in every scripture, we are doing them left and right in the name of modernity, and we know better now.
And enmeshed in the coils of economic anarchy
and strife.
Anarchy and
Enmeshed in the coils of economic anarchy and strife.
Such is the spectacle presented to men's eyes as a result of the sweeping changes which this revolutionizing force, as yet in the initial stage of its operation, is now proceeding in the life of producing in the life of the entire planet.
The moment law of God comes, by the way, from time immemorial, every time a new revelation comes, the moment God says, this is what you would do, everything else stops working. Everything else stops working. The more you run after those things, the more hardship it creates. That's been fact of life, historically speaking, if you take pains to study it. Are we done? Everybody read? All right, wonderful. So we'll stop here actually. And he's going to come soon enough to give practical guidance to how to study, what to study to be better at teaching work. Not just better, but successful. Yeah. And what we are studying is part of that plan right now. So, yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I had a homework for you. Please write a few lines on each: rectitude of conduct, chastity, racial unity. What new things you learned from here? What else you think you will do to implement those things, to try to start on making some change? All of us can do that, by the way, even the 9-year-old, the youngest, all right? All of us. Within our realm, within our school, within our work, within our capacity, we must embark on these new ways to do things differently from what our culture is doing to make a change. And you don't have to make big plans. Start small, doable things, but doable things. Be consistent and persevere, and we will grow from there, yeah? All right? And I'll send you 2 major quotes from Abdul Baha. That's another thing too. I will want you to read them very carefully. very carefully and make notes for your own selves. What is it that he's asking me there to do? It's easy for us always to say, why you are not doing that? These other people who are not doing that. I don't want that. We shouldn't be ever doing that. I always should look there, whatever I'm studying in the writings, to see what is it that he's asking me to do? What can I do different? Because I can't change other people, by the way, okay? I only can change myself. You can only change yourselves. And even in your own families, who you are parents, you can't change your children unless you change yourself first. Lead by example. All right, I love your cat, by the way. And Mushu, my cat, says time was up. He's already out of his place. We are in the library now. This is our library, and there is a big plant over there. And our youngest one is 8 months old, Kitty. She goes and wreaks havoc in that plant because she wants attention. So since we moved here in the library, there is no door on the library. It's an open room. So I park it in the bedroom, and Daniel spends 2 hours with them, with all of her kids. We have 3 kitties. Those are our children. Oh. Now they get locked up for two hours in the room. And Mushu has insisted that he needs to come out because 2 hours was up. And I swear he has a time clock built in it. When we have regular things, he knows exactly what time. As soon as the time is up, he comes and goes like, what?
That's what she does too. And she's usually pretty good about the time. I think we went over, so she's like,
no, she's like, hey, you're 15 minutes over. How dare you?
Yeah.
What kind of kitty is that?
Her name is Snickers, and she's a rescue cat. We have no idea.
What colors is she?
She's gray tabby.
Okay.
Long hair.
Okay.
Hair everywhere. So.
Yeah, we have 2 Siamese and 1 Bengal.
Oh my gosh. Do the 2 Siamese work together?
Well, Siamese are very people's cats, and they talk, right? So and the Bengals are their own whole creed of what they are. But the Bengal is, Isha calls him a factory defect, because he was a rescue and abandoned a couple of times in shelters. So he has this real struggle with personality. And so somebody called me and begged me, because I foster cats. So I foster them, and then they get adopted in homes. So when they come to us, mostly they're out from the streets or whichever way, and you care for their health and train them as best as you can, and then they go to their homes. This one somebody begged me to take him for 2 days only, because they didn't have space, and I didn't want, I had like 5, 6 other kittens I was raising at that time. They're like, oh my God, they'll put him down because he has problems. They will put him down. Nobody wants him. So if he doesn't get out today, like in next hour, it's like, can you please take him just for 2 days until we find him a home? I was like, fine. So they send him over. Somebody drove 3 hours to bring him to me, actually.
Oh my gosh.
From LA to us. So yeah, it's 3 hours. So he came for 2 days. And in a month and 10 days, he'll be here a year now. So he's come long ways, but yeah, our Siamese are helping him a lot. So he's quite gelled with them.
That's good.
So
yeah, I've heard that Siamese cats can work together to get into trouble a lot too.
Yeah, they're very mischievous. Yes.
Yes.
They don't consider themselves as animals. They're like, our firstborn was a Siamese, and she'll be like, if somebody like gives her something that she didn't want, she'll look back at you. It's like, what? Who do you think I am? It's my house. Get off my face. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yep. Wonderful. I love cats. Well, we love dogs too, but right now we don't have a dog. So yeah. Good. All right. Mwah. Next time I will ask Nikki that's our youngest one, to come say hello to you guys. So
okay. Look forward to seeing all of them.
Yeah.
Well, you do see them on my Facebook pictures, but yeah, the little one is terribly mischievous, so I can't have them outside right now during classes.
In blanket nicely.
Yes. Yes. All right. Mwah. Love you all. See you next week. Good night, Alicia, and have a good day, everybody else. Bye.
Bye.